So I'm Dan McClelland, and I'm the operations manager of the property the house that we had renovated by Smith & Sons Contracting.
And I'm Sandy Harder, and it was the house on my property that we had renovated by Smith & Sons, as well as other work that was done the previous year by them. I met Smith & Sons through a fairly major job they did at Harwood Montessori School. I was so impressed with it.
We were looking at what we needed to do to renovate the house and remodel it into something that would attract the kind of tenant that we were looking for.
We decided to assign Smith & Sons as our general contractor because the previous year I had used him for some minor jobs. The fact that he showed up when he said was very aware of the expenses that we were going to incur and gave us some really worthwhile advice.
I think the greatest benefits that we have received from using Smith & Sons Contracting really date right back to our initial consultations that we had with them when we were first looking at doing the project. A lot of ideas were exchanged as to how in-depth we envisioned the renovation of the property being. You know, did we want to do just a cosmetic reno, or did we really want to get into the bones of the house and replace some larger elements, and what would be the cost of those and what would be the benefit of those? And the Smith & Sons personnel really walked us through that process and were bold enough to make their own recommendations and cast a bit of their own vision based on their past experience, based on other properties that they had been working on. And so it gave us a better sense of the direction that we wanted to go and what the benefit of that would be. They were very good in following up as to what some of those costs would look like. And then we began to talk about the structure as to what would be nailed right down in terms of a contract price and what types of things we would be looking at on a labor plus basis, labor plus materials. So the benefit of that is we had very upfront communication all the way along. We had another separate project ongoing on the property on an older building that was about 110 years old. We were having a roof project started up on that building. And on day one, it went sideways in a really harsh way. There was a partial collapse of one of the sections of roof due to how the roofing contractor was loading the roofing products onto the roof. The result of this, with bad weather coming, is we needed to have construction done on that building immediately in order to seal it up and make it ready for the roofers to proceed with their work. So I was able to pull the Smith & Sons personnel off of our primary project that they were working on. They immediately adapted to what was required there and sourced out lumber that matched this 110-year-old building's lumber through a very specific sawmill that they were aware of that was able to produce that exact lumber. And they proceeded to restructure that old building back to its original form, probably better. And we were able to proceed with the roofing project really quite seamlessly. And then once that was complete, they immediately transitioned back to our primary project and continued on as though nothing had happened.
Smith & Sons did a remarkable job of the renovation on the home, such that we were able to attract a higher end tenant and charge more for rent, obviously. It's extremely well done. And it was huge to me because it's a family home that my parents had lived in, and my husband and I and our kids lived in the summer. So there was a lot of sentimental value to this property, and they did a extremely good job of bringing that spirit into it.
And I can say, I mean, that's from a sort of a third party standpoint, how they respected her sentimental memories and feelings, having lived in the house herself with her family. There were some design ideas and some design elements from the past there that clearly held sentimental value for Sandy. And even though some of those items were ultimately changed or removed or altered, the process to get there was managed very sensitively. and not in a bullish way, I guess is what I'm trying to say. You know, they really had a good ear for Sandy's sentiments around some of those things.
They certainly exceeded the expectations. I've dealt with a lot of contractors in the past, and I was so impressed. Well, every week I got an invoice of what exactly the hours that they'd worked and precise detailing of the work they'd done. And so I felt like I was on top of it, on top of the project all the time, and there was no surprises.
So I would recommend Smith & Sons based on our experience right from the start to the finish. The sum total of our whole experience is from sticking to their word, to arriving at the work site when they said they would, to keeping an organized work site, to communicating really well all along the way, to discussing changes. The whole process was something that they handled with professionalism, with thoroughness, and with a real good sense of, there was always a good picture of what the end goal was, and the end goal was always kept right in front of us.
And they also had a very great respect for the budget and how much we were willing to spend and the value for our dollar. They were amazing at that.
I could say without hesitation that I would recommend them. And I could give a big long list of reasons for that. And one is, I think, one thing that maybe one word which would describe the essence of their business is integrity. They have a professional integrity about their business that they arrive at due to so many things that they put into that. Honesty, promptness, thoroughness, good communication, quality workmanship, and working with the customer toward the end goal at all times.